that to support your kids in mathematics, that you really don't have to be that college professor. We want you to know that you probably have a lot of games at home that if you're playing with them, they will be building number sense. And you're not trying to teach a particular concept, but to let them develop some experiences that have some math connections, that once they start to learn those things in their curriculum, they have something to tie back to. They can make a connection to some prior knowledge, and things start to make sense. I know when I was a kid, we grew up playing rummy. So 500, you could go in the hole. So negative numbers just kind of made sense. Today, I think a lot of our kids are playing video games and they're not having these experiences with the board games that are building those concepts for them. So these are just some games that we have. This is one they might even see in a classroom. They don't have to be classroom games to build number sense. This one is on fractions and addition and subtraction fraction pieces. So I'll give you time to come up and take a look at this, but this is one they would probably see in the classroom. This one is pretty classic game, Shut the Box. I don't know if you've seen it or not. They can play this in elementary school, but some of those skills we see our middle schoolers and even high schoolers still don't have their basic facts down. This is a way to practice basic facts with the family, and it's fun, and they don't think that they're working. You know, it doesn't seem like schoolwork. Mancala, it has lots of math applications. They're counting, they're thinking about subtraction, they've got logic and strategy, which helps with problem solving. This is one that I hope that we'll get a chance to play. So how many of you have ever been introduced to this game? It's pretty deep when you get started. It's like, oh my goodness, how could we ever do this? But I've played this with kids who struggle in math, and within probably 2 days, they are starting to be the champions and they feel success. Again, there's no numbers in this. They're learning some concepts, problem solving, set making, concepts that will come up again in that.
Are they making them sick at home?
Sleeping Queens. This was a game that was designed by, I think, a 5-year-old girl. It seems really kind of silly to 8th grade boys until they start playing it and they love it. It's very basic math. I did this with my advanced geometry kids, and they were 8th graders, and they were begged to play this game. Dragons, knights, princesses. Not a lot of higher level math, but a chance to practice some of the basic stuff. This one is called 24. I went to a presentation by the guy who designed the game, and he plays it every night with his at that time kindergarten son, and they have to come up with cards that will add to 24, and they're practicing all the operations. This is a deep game, but if a kindergartner can play it, I guess it's not too early to start. This one is another game that you might see in a classroom, but if your child's struggling with integers, that might be interesting. They just pick cards that are equivalent and they make stacks of 3. Connect 4, another classic game. This one that I brought happens to be a travel game, but you probably all had experiences with that. This will be handy when they're doing coordinate geometry. Another game that I don't have today, but another classic, is Battleship. That's a really good one for coordinate geometry. It starts to build that background before they ever have to use it. And Sparkle, just another opportunity. It's not high mathematics, but it allows you to build some basic concepts on those basic skills.
I have a question.
Yep.
So I'm a parent, and I want to play Connect 4 or Battleship, which are games we play at our house. How do I take it from, or how do you recommend I take it from Connect 4, a strategy game, to something deeper, or with working on coordinate planes with Battleship, I just play Battleship.
I think that's the beauty of it, is that when they're playing those games, you don't have to take it deeper. Of course you can. If you're working on a unit right then on coordinate geometry, definitely tie it in. But it's never too soon to introduce that game. So even if you have a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, and you're playing Battleship, that's building an experience that they will build on later. So their brain will tie that back when they are introduced to it, and rather than struggle, they'll think in their minds, oh, this is like Battleship.
So you're saying I don't have to teach it in a mathematical way. It's just the exposure to that grid. So then when they are taught it or exposed to it again in math, they're making the connection to, oh, it's a grid like Battleship is essentially what you're saying.
I think that we have a lot of games and activities that we can do in the math classroom that are strictly tied to the curriculum that we're working with. But if they don't have something that they've done previously to tie it back to, they're missing that connection. And so what we want to do through games is offer those places that they can anchor that connection. So these things are things you can feel good about doing with kids. We know games develop social skills as well as thinking, problem solving, but some games also support your math. So I don't think that you really have to do a lot unless you're actually working on that curriculum content at the time.
Okay.
We have some handbooks. This one is the lowest level I have, but there's another one that's called Math to Learn, which would be maybe kindergarten through 2nd grade. This one I think is 3rd through 4th. This one is 5th and 6th. And these are handbooks. So say you are not comfortable with something, maybe your student is being asked to bisect angles and you forgot how to do that. It's like a dictionary. You can go in it. It's a resource for you, and it will re-explain how to bisect angles. So if you're feeling a little unsure, these are great source books. I think they're by the people that wrote Right Source. Are you familiar with those books?
All right.
Well, but take a look at these. I can give them to you, but I want you to know that they're there. That seems to be a support that you could use at home. Right now, they are in order. So this goes through algebra. Okay. This is an article from NCTM, and it's just talking a little bit about research that is out there and maybe why games would be good, the skills that your students can learn through playing games. There are also some games in here that I want you to feel compelled to use, but these are games that teachers might use in the classroom. So if you're feeling that this supports your students' learning, there's some games in here, some ideas that they would experience in a classroom. Do you want those?
Yep. Extra copies. I'll take the extra copies.
And then in doing some of the some research, there are lots of games that are recommended by math instructors, researchers. These are just a few. And I imagine some of you have these games at home right now. They're probably sitting in your closets or cabinets. They're easily found at garage sales. I gave you kind of an approximate cost. They're not really expensive. But these are some that were recommended for nurturing math skills. And this was just an article. I didn't make copies of this. It's a blog, and it's called Engaged Family Gaming. And there are some recommendations for games and how to use them as well.
Oh, Kenzie. Sorry. I'll make some copies of this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's just talking about a few games, but there are several articles in there that they can go in and look. I'm not sure that that article is particularly helpful, so I didn't make copies for that one. Most of the games are recommended through here. Yeah. Are any of you connected with Math Counts? Do you know anything about Math Counts? I'm guessing the little guys wouldn't be involved in that yet, but there is an organization called Math Counts, all one word, and they sponsor a math competition. So your 7th graders for sure could be involved in that. And I think it goes through maybe 8th, 9th grade. And they've got resources online. And I think there's an option as a homeschool parent that you could join, and they can send you a club kit. And if they can't send it to each one of you, you could start a club here, and one of you could receive the kit and share the materials. They have lots of games and activities, ways that you could sponsor a club, and then your students could actually compete in the Math Counts competition, and it ends up with the final competition in Washington, D.C. And whoever wins at the state level will be sent free of charge with their coach to Washington, D.C. for the competition. So just an opportunity there. And they did, I would say maybe 5 years ago, they did an agreement with Think Fun Games. Are you familiar with Think Fun Games? Rush Hour, Chocolate Fix, lots of really good games there. Some of them are available online. Are you aware of the online? I don't want to be telling you things that they know or that you know. So my computer battery is on its last leg, but we're getting new one ordered. So here's Think Fun Games, and there's a tab here where you can click on Play Online. I don't think I have the internet yet.
Or do they break it instead?
Okay, so I'll leave this up so that you can take a look at these two. But Chocolate Fix, Rush Hour, several other games are offered here, and then you can play online. It's nice to have a game that you can put your kids on, but you lose the social that you have with the board games. So yes, kids will be engaged. They're very good games, but you don't want to replace all of them, all of these games with those games. Now, would you be up for playing a game? Yes. Okay. This is the game of set, and this handout just gives the rationale and behind it, the skills your students will be learning.
Oh, I'm slacking. Do you guys have any questions for Lynn in regards to some of this? Thoughts?
No, I think this is great. I've got some older students who are putting more advanced skills now, but I'm noticing they're struggling a little bit with some of the recalling, just kind of basic skills as far as multiplication facts, the things that I remember so easily now as an adult. I just need to figure out ways to reinforce that without making them feel.
And if you have a particular skill and would send me an email, I'd be glad to, to see what I can help you find that would reinforce that particular skill.
Yeah, more multiplication facts, I think, figuring out how to get it. And they know how to do it, they understand it, it's just recalling them quickly, and then now they're seeing that would reinforce that. Because they know about eating versus
And
flashcards.
there's a game called Peaceful Conflict. Actually, it's a war game, the old war. And Neil Grangenet from UNO developed a whole series, and he calls it Peaceful Conflict. And you play with a regular deck of cards, and you can use different, templates. So maybe if I'm working with decimals, I would have the ones place, the tens, and the hundreds with the decimal. And they're blank slots. They're just spaces there. And then I turn over 3 cards, and you turn over 3 cards. We put them on our templates, and the one who has the highest number wins, or the lowest number wins, whatever, you can win. But you can also set up a template that has a numerator and a denominator, and then we have to multiply. All kinds of things, but I can send you that too, or I can send it to Wendy. There are a whole series of games there. They're not quite as engaging. Kids realize that they're doing math, but still, it's better than the worksheet thing.
And I would agree too with that in regards to number sense and math facts. That's something that one of the reasons why we started math clubs. We didn't start math clubs because we thought it would be fun. I mean, it is fun, but we started math clubs because the teachers, taking a look at math data and just students' performance in math, one of the gaps they're seeing is that number sense, which is why number sense was our building-wide goal based on math scores from the fall, because we noticed that that's where all of our students, not all of our students, but the majority of our students were, it was their area of concern based on math. So this math kick is really to help support you at home. As a parent with my third grade daughter loves math. For now, I'm just kind of like, yeah, she loves math and it's great. But my son, he's a 6th grader. He's always struggled with math, and we've always had a summer tutor, and he's always really struggled with it. I always feel like, that's why I asked the question, even from a parent perspective, is I always just feel like I'm just playing a game, and shouldn't I be doing more? And as a parent, you always feel like you should be doing more, or at least I do. So that's why Coop and I always play Battleship, and I'm like, so should I explain to him the X and the Y coordinate? But sometimes, and it's reassuring to hear from Lynn, our in-house math expert, that you don't always have to suck the fun out of everything, as my 6th grader would say, and turn it into something teachery. It's okay to just play a game. And so that helped me a lot, Lynn. Thanks. To know that it's okay to just play a game and not say, now this is really fractions, or this is really X and Y coordinate. But the important part is just building up their schema or their experiences so they can make some connections when they are exposed to it later, in the hopes that they'll make that connection.
Yep.
Or you can be the mom and later be like, and you know that what you're doing right now with Mr. Gamble is really what we did over here, type of thing. So that helps a lot.
So where would you like us to set up our games?
I don't know, where would you like to play? Because there's the majority of you are right there. And one thing too, while we get this set up, and I'll have you explain it, and then I'll turn off the broadcast. But the math clubs, that's something that we're really trying to do, is trying to make math fun and engaging and take it off of the computer and take it off of a worksheet. And so one thing too, before you leave today, or even the next time you guys come, is to even just kind of watch and see what they're doing and what they're playing. Ask your kiddos what game they're playing, but you're also welcome to kind of take a peek. With our family game night, I'm going to get some games from Learning HQ, and this is good for you to know too. We have a family game night on March 23rd. You can come if you want. But Learning HQ, the owner, Amy Kocher, is really working closely with us. She picked a bunch of math games out from their store. She's going to let the teachers use them, play them, and then the teachers will also be incorporating some of those math games into our family game night too. So we're really working on just trying to breathe some life into math, because it should be fun.
It should be fun. We see too many kids who don't see any practical application. They don't know why they're learning it. And we know that number sense and problem solving are things that they're going to take with them throughout life. So, even if they don't remember the equation for the circumference of a circle, they can look that up. But number sense isn't something that you can just look up. You have to have that. And problem solving abilities are going to take them far in life. So those are things that games can help us to teach.
Cool. All right, let's play. So this set game, what's the recommended age?
I have played with kids as young as 5.
Do you guys have any fun math games that maybe she didn't mention today that you found success with at home?
6 to adults.
6 adults.
We like the think fun games. We have like the laser maze and the card game. I'm trying to think.
Those the online ones?
They aren't, we don't, I've never done the online ones.
Okay.
We just have like the actual board games.
Oh, and where do you get those from, the Think Fun ones?
I think I've ordered quite a few ones at timberdoodle.com.
We've done, you mentioned war. We've done it just like the regular war, where instead of seeing who has the highest card, like who can say that, you know, for younger, like add them up, who can say it the fastest, or like if it's a 6 and a 7, who can multiply it the fastest, and then they win, rather than just the high. Simple.
Yeah, right, it is simple, and then you're like, I made that up. So,
Another one that's fun is you deal the cards and without looking, you put the card up and.
they're playing Jenga with multiplication, that's what they're doing.
Yeah. So maybe I can send them directions for those just so that you can, because then they have to look at someone else's card to guess what their card is, knowing what the product is.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And they,
It's like headbands. You could use the headbands from Headbands game.
so in this game, there are 3 different colors, purple, red, and green. And there are 3 different shapes, diamonds, ovals, and squiggles. And there are 3 different kinds of shading, so they could be striped, they could be solid, they could be.
Yes, no, the small box, the set box.
There are 3 numbers, so they could have 1 shape, they could have 2 shapes, or they could have 3 shapes. So we've got shading, shape, color, and number. All right. And we need to make sets of 3 cards. And the cards can either be all the same or all different for each one of those characteristics that we're looking at. So this would be a set because we have all the same number, 3. We have all different colors. We have all the same shading, and we have all different shapes. So the same number, different colors, the same shading, different shapes. Or did I do before? Okay. You can have 3 the same for all of them. You could have 1 the same. So I don't have any 2s. Do you see that? If I put this one in here, the only thing I changed was the shape, but now I have 2. 2 is not okay. You can have 1 of each shape, or you can have all the same. So if they were, now we have all the same shape. Does that make sense? We'll practice a little bit, okay? That makes sense.
You got it?
Perfect sense.
Now, you can kind of differentiate for this by changing the number of cards you put out, because the more cards that are out, the easier it is for students to find the set. We'll start with 16.
My window thing needs 16.
So just take a minute to look and see what you see. Okay, now, does everybody agree that that's a set? When you're first, well, anytime you're playing, you would say set. Okay, no, that's fine. You would say set. And then rather than pick the cards up, we'll have you point to them, because when we're first learning, we're gonna have a lot of mistakes, okay? So yes, we all agree that's a set, and so she has her first set. Now the object is to have the most sets at the end, okay? And at first it's gonna seem a little bit tough, but you're gonna catch on really quick. And like I said, I think we played this with even struggling 6th graders, and at the end of that first day, they went home thinking they hated the game. They came back the next day and something gelled overnight. They could do it.
Do you go in order or just?
No, whoever gets it first gets the set. Okay,
Agreed? Okay. And so then you can, while we're learning, we'll put them out there so everybody gets a chance to see a little longer. And then you can stack them up. So everybody gets a chance to see. Because we're all just learning right now.
I noticed on the box too, you can play as a group or as solitaire, so the kiddos can play independently too.
And there's an app online, so if you Google set game, and it will let you play maybe 3 to 5 hands a day, and then it shuts you off until the next day. But it's a good place to practice. Good.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
That's, well, hang on. Now I'm guessing, second guessing myself. Never mind.
You can do it, it's okay.
You can do.
You see any that goes together. Now, if we get to this point and we can't find any, regardless of whether there really are some or not, we can add more cards. All right, and since we're just learning, we'll add another set.
My baby's walk.
Good. So do you see they're getting a little bit more difficult? So now,
Okay, I am going to take you back to the classroom so you can see what games the teachers are playing with students during our math club. And this is impromptu, so we'll see what they're doing. Hi, math club. Is this multiplication math club?
It is?
What's that?
I'm
What-
broadcasting. So which one of you friends can tell me what you're playing and what you're doing?
We're playing
Hold
Jenga.
on a minute. All right, so what are you playing?
We're playing Jenga multiplication.
Okay, and how do you play? And how you play?
You take one out and you answer the question, and then you do the turnaround fact, and then you answer that question. If you get it right, then you get to keep. Well, you get to keep it.
What if you get it wrong?
If you get it wrong, you have to put it in the discard pile.
Actually,
And someone can steal it.
Yes, it was good. It is the discard pile, but since they are not cards, our
It's a
lovely
disc
Jalen Jensen said it should be a disc block pile.
Oh, so whose turn is next? I didn't mean to interrupt. Whose turn is next?
Team 3?
All right, so let's go
Oh,
team
no,
three.
no, no. Who just did the 11? Oh, yeah, it's team 1.
All right, let's see it.
Grab one.
He's thinking.
You get 5 seconds to think.
Oh, you're gonna lose.
Let's stay positive.
I don't want to stay positive. You want to stay? Yes.
6 times 5 is 45. 40, and then 5 times 6 is 40. No, it's 30. Isn't it 45? Wait, what's
It's
45?
6 times 5. You get 3 seconds.
It's 30.
For sure.
Yes.
Zip, do you agree?
No, 45. It's 45.
6 times 5 is 30. So we give him a chance to steal. If he gets it wrong, anybody else who puts their hand up in the air, they get a chance to steal it.
It's there.
All right, so it's theirs.
All right, I
who's
like
up?
this Jenga game. Good job.
It's my
Okay.
turn.
Thank you for letting us peek into your classroom.
Bye.
Bye, friends. Okay, so that was a multiplication group. We'll see what they're doing in the, I believe this is more algebra type group. If there's somebody in here, let's see. Oh, there are. Hi, friends. Doing a quick broadcast of our math clubs here.
I am losing.
Well, I
But
love the
gaining
positivity.
I am gaining knowledge thanks
So-
to Miss Knowledge.
What game are we playing?
A math game.
All right. Who wants to tell me what the game is? All right, go on ahead.
So we roll the dice, and we can either multiply, subtract, divide, or add.
Yeah, add, Josh.
And then, so we could multiply that, and then
So
maybe
it's-
subtract that, and then we pick an answer. And when we get the answer, we call it a game.
Okay. Whose turn is it then?
It's Bryce's. He's been going for 2 minutes.
All right, Bryce.
Did
So-
you see it now? Look at it.
This game is called Muggins.
So she said you're multiplying and subtracting. Do you see it? If you multiply and subtract.
The pressure's on.
Let's see. This would have been a perfect bluffing one because you can bluff in this game as well.
Okay.
And you can
You can go. That
just
equals
color it in, and
Oh, so then friends have to decide if he's right or not.
if he's right or not before McKenna grabs it.
Hold on. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like explaining.
It was right. All right, let's see
Good
it.
job. All right, we'll do one more round, then we'll move on to the next game. So is McKenna a certain color on the board?
She's this color.
Okay.
If you get 3 in a row, you get 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
If you get 2 in a row, you get 2 points. If you get 1 in a row, you just.
Okay. All right, so
I
let's
am losing.
see what you got.
The thing is, this one's almost full, so it's harder because if you get a lower number,
So you have to try to
You
go that
are
way?
a master at it.
well, basically, you have to, if when these ones are full, you have to move on and try to do a different
You have to
problem.
find an empty one.
Yeah.
Got it.
This one, if you get a lower number, you probably won't be able to get it.
Yeah, like the
You have to
last one, I
you have to
can.
pass. Yeah, she had to pass because she could.
Yeah.
She couldn't
McKenna,
find
do you
it.
see something?
Oh,
So you can multiply these two numbers and add them, or basically.
Are you seeing?
I'll step away. I don't want to add pressure. Thank you for sharing, friends.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Enjoy Muggins. All right, so this is what our math clubs look like.